Welcome back to the second episode. Last time we saw that the old couple had quite a bit of fun with their friends and family. They finally have another chance to life. What will they do next? Well, keep watching to find out more. The show continues and we see that the next day, two high school students came by and complained about living in such a boring place with only old people around. They wanted to move to Tokyo because they were from a different generation, teenagers. But when they noticed a stranger, they wondered who she was. It was Annie who quickly greeted the boys. Just seeing her made them blush because she was very pretty. From then on, the young people began to go to the same area more often when they went to school. There was no special reason, they just wanted to see Annie. Later, there's a memory of the elders from the past. Annie was about to throw away some old brochures that the newspapers always brought, but when she stumbled upon one for clothing sales, she accidentally stopped to admire the beautiful clothes. This memory stayed with her. When Shuzu asked her why she took so long, he noticed a special package for her. Inside was a beautiful white dress that left Annie speechless. Although her husband pretended not to know who it was from, Annie loved the gift. This resulted in a minor heart attack for her husband, but his new heart kept him alive to enjoy the delicious dinner Annie had prepared for them. Afterwards, the elders watched a popular teen series. Well, they tried since their granddaughter had recommended it. But deep down, Annie's husband Shuzu didn't like it. He thought the show was too much, showing affection every 20 minutes. He didn't think that was necessary to show love. When he asked his wife's opinion, she was fascinated by the episode and enjoyed it very much. She even asked Shuzu for a special favor, to act exactly like the character they were watching. Despite acting exactly like the show, Annie claimed to feel nothing at all. This made her husband think that maybe they could, since they had been together for over 50 years. This confirmed the grandfather's belief that they were still teenage aunts. But we quickly see that Annie actually liked the show, so much so that she blushed a little. Anyway, the next evening, we see that Mino was at her grandparents' house and ended up helping an elderly woman she didn't know at all. To make matters worse, this woman spoke in old-fashioned short words, which only confused the poor young brain, which didn't know what to do. She didn't want to be rude to her, but Annie quickly came to the rescue to greet her friend, known as Katja the fisherwoman. Mino didn't hesitate to ask her grandmother for help, because the old lady spoke in very strange dialects, so she couldn't understand her. But at that moment, the old lady impressed her more than Annie, because she suddenly looked so much younger. However, she admitted that it was only a little. Then the old lady started pinching Mino's cheeks to see if she was as young as one of her grandchildren, because she wanted her to marry one of them. But the grandmother wouldn't allow it because her granddaughter is too young and she wants to take care of her. Later, we meet a girl named Shuri who stayed with the grandparents. She tells us why, saying that she had a fight with her father and vowed never to return. But as soon as she arrived, she didn't have time to feel sad because she was too confused by how young her grandmother looked. Even though her grandmother approached her to offer her some food, Shuri wasn't in the mood to eat because her mind was stuck in the past when her friends didn't hang out with her because she was always studying. When the day came for her to take an aptitude test to see what she would study, Shuri felt pressured by her father to choose medicine, just like him. But she didn't feel as smart as him, and that was the main reason for her fight with her father. And even though In managed to get her granddaughter to tell her all this, she was still very sad and confused because she still insisted that she went there to have nothing, claiming to be a fool after spending so much time studying and still not achieving anything. But her grandmother assured her that there's no need to cry when you have nothing to comfort you. At the same time, a memory from their past appeared. Aina asked her granddaughter what she wanted to be when she grew up, and Shuri replied that she wanted to be a doctor to cure the bugs that made her grandmother feel bad. So the grandmother continued to support her granddaughter, assuring her that she would always be there for her because she would always be her dear granddaughter. This almost made her cry that night, and now we see another memory from the past when the grandparents were very young. Ayn was sick at that time, so she complained about not being able to go on vacation. However, she still wanted her husband to take the baby to the beach. Her husband assured her that it wouldn't be the same without her, because he had such a beautiful wife that when she appeared in a bathing suit, the other husbands would envy him. This made In realize in the present, when she saw a women's clothing catalog, the big difference between swimsuits now and then. Nowadays, they show too much skin, and she was grateful for that. This immediately made Ain wonder what kind of swimsuit her husband would like to see her in. Although one that showed too much skin was most likely the answer. Ain was not mentally prepared to dress so indecently in society, so the dress she recently received would be the best option. But Shuri quickly spotted her grandmother and told her not to overthink it because she could wear whatever she wanted since she looked beautiful. But despite the rejuvenation, Ain still had her ladylike attitude. She felt like an old lady, but her granddaughter reminded her that as long as she kept the boys she liked speechless, that was enough for her. This made Ain flee to the kitchen in embarrassment. A little later, the grandmother received a phone call from scammers targeting the elderly. With the simple words, "It's me," they made Ain wonder if it was Yoshiaki. Ain took the opportunity to start recording the conversation because her supposed son had asked her for money, claiming he was in trouble. Ain asked for the address to send the money to, and when she got it, Ain reiterated that what they were doing was wrong, but she was willing to talk to them to make herself feel better. This infuriated the thief because now they had both her address and her information, leading to a quick arrest by the police thanks to the information Ain had sent. When In tried to check her glasses, she realized that they made her vision even blurrier than without them. So Mino asked her to read the newspaper from a distance, and Ain began to read it perfectly, something even Mino couldn't do. When Grandpa arrived, his granddaughter wanted him to see Grandma's incredible vision. Using the newspaper, she made her read individual kanji characters to form the words, "Grandpa, you are the most extraordinary man," which made them both very embarrassed at the moment. When it was Mino's turn for the vision test, her grandmother got back at her by making her say the sentences. "There's someone I like this person is," but Mino didn't want to continue because she was suddenly caught. While watching her granddaughter's series and seeing the characters holding hands, Mino wanted to know if her grandparents held hands when they walked. But Grandma said no because it was too bold, like shouting on the street that they were together for everyone to see. The real reason they were holding hands was to help each other walk. The next day, coming back from some great shopping in the neighborhood stores, the uncle showed up. He noticed that his wife didn't have a glove on one of her hands. Because Ain wanted to see if her husband was attentive enough to notice these things, but Shuzu simply couldn't shake her hand because if he did, everything he had told Mino would make no sense. And although Ain gave up, content to walk with her husband without further ado, she noticed that he finally lowered his hand, so in a second she took his hand to walk back home. The next day, the grandparents visited their son Takehiro, Shiori's father. He was shocked to see his parents looking so young. Because of this, and noticed that his mother's breathing was much more regular than before. And although the pressure had been extremely high in the past, it had returned to normal now. So Takehiro didn't know what to do or say to his parents. He simply asked them to wait a while to see the results of the tests. When the examination was over and he left his parents to go straight home, Takehiro remembered when he was told that his mother, Ain, had liver cancer. That was the main reason why the boy wanted to study medicine, thinking he could save his mother. But he never could, so Takehiro started to cry because even though he knew he couldn't save her, he felt that his efforts were worth it in the end. After all, he had promised his mother in the past that he would cure all her illnesses. So when Ain returned home, she also remembered the same promise and felt very proud of the son she had. In another flashback, we see the beginning of the grandparents' apple harvest and how it deteriorated after a severe storm that even made the news. Although the entire orchard was practically destroyed, the grandparents didn't give up, believing they could still save the trees. With a lot of love, effort, and dedication, the tree managed to survive. In the future, it gave them a strange golden apple. At that time, Shuzu wasn't sure if they should eat it because of its strange color, but Ain assured him that they should because she felt that the tree had created that fruit for them. This turned out to be true as the same tree fell again, but they were very grateful to the old couple. That same night, Ain had a strange dream where an hourglass crushed her, so she talked about it with her husband, who had the same dream. But there was something more important to talk about, and that was that they had been together 58 years that day, so they had to celebrate. Grandpa said he hadn't planned anything, but when In opened the refrigerator, she found a piece of cake, so her husband was a big liar. Still, In forgave him in a second, because even though he lied, she couldn't be angry with the person she had fallen in love with. They both enjoyed not being afraid of sugar or getting sick from anything, thanks to Ain. Well, that's all for now. Are you ready for Ep 3 and 4? If so, let us know below.